Hello and welcome to 3-Minute Reviews, where I usually review something in 3 minutes or less. Today we have another special 9-minute review, and trust me, we will stop doing these for movies pretty soon. But I just wanted to go over one more trilogy that may have slipped your mind that it is in fact a trilogy. Now before I make this review, I will say that it technically is a quintology and a TV series, and now for something completely different, and Live at the Hollywood Bowl are just kind of best of CDs. That's like saying that someone with a discography of only 5 discs, 3 of which are studio albums and the other 2 of which are best hits albums, has 5 studio albums, and they don't. They have 2 compilations. So without further ado, here we are. No history behind this one, besides, Monty Python in the 70s was a huge comedy troupe of 6 men: Graham Chapman, Terry Jones, Terry Gilliam, John Cleese, Michael Palin, and Eric Idle. And they were a smash hit in Britain with their TV show Monty Python's Flying Circus. They released a movie, And Now for Something Completely Different, which was ironically named because it was all the same stuff from Flying Circus, the best skits of that. And it was huge in Britain, but they never really grabbed on in the United States until the release of their first feature film, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Now, essentially, Monty Python and the Holy Grail is a bunch of skits that have to do with the subject of the quest for the Holy Grail, complete with King Arthur, played by Graham Chapman, Sir Lancelot, played by John Cleese, and a host of others. Holy Grail is probably the most recognized in the mainstream of the US, but over in Britain there's a heated debate between which is better, Holy Grail and Life of Brian, and one is inevitably left out, The Meaning of Life, which is in fact a third studio film made in 1981. But more on that when we get to it. For now, I will just say Holy Grail is undoubtedly the one that I've seen the most times, and if you gave me an hour and a half, I could recite the entire movie to you right now. I pretty much have it memorized, along with a lot of anybody who's an American Monty Python fan basically is really into this movie. So then came Life of Brian. Now, Life of Brian stirred up a lot of controversy, because though it is about Brian, who is not a replacement for Jesus in Monty Python's Jerusalem, he is in fact there and is accepted as the Messiah by many against his will, and so there was a big controversy with the Vatican, and John Cleese and the others went out and adamantly defended it on the BBC. The movie was banned in Britain and Ireland, pretty much the UK, where they can actually ban movies. It was banned for a time. I'm not sure if it is still banned. It's pretty funny. I would say it's my least favorite of the 3. It's still, I like it infinitely more than a lot of movies, but it just doesn't quite click for me. It's still skit based like Holy Grail, but whereas Holy Grail balanced the skit based and the overall plot going together well, this one was too much of a full plot kind of going, and usually that's great. Usually that's fantastic. But in a movie that's made as a bunch of skits, when you have fewer long skits, it's just not as enjoyable. I still really like it though, and I know that you will too if you check it out. It's surprisingly the only one that's not available at Target. I'm not sure why it's not. There are only 3 of these movies, and they sell the best of compilations from Flying Circus, which was never popular here in America, so whatever, I can't really know. Okay, on to Meaning of Life. So Meaning of life. Yes, I know the image isn't up yet. We're giving them even time, so don't worry, don't think that I made some technical error, haha. Okay, so Meaning of Life. Meaning of Life is my favorite Monty Python film, and that may shock and appall some of you, because many people consider it to be the black sheep of the franchise. Why that is, obviously, I don't understand, because it's my favorite, but to each their own. The Meaning of Life is basically a 1 hour 43 minute, as is said on the back of it, episode of the Flying Circus based around life in general. It starts at birth and ends at death, with many skits along the way describing each part of life, complete with a narrator going, "The miracle of life." It's also narrated, or at least accompanied, by the fish that you see here. They're the central cast of it. And again, it is just the Monty Python troupe, the 6 Pythons, and a couple of others like Neil and Niz, Carol Cleveland, etc. Overall, again, it is my favorite, so it would go Meaning of Life is my favorite, then Holy Grail, then Life of Brian. So, what are my favorite skits from each? Well, without a doubt, even though the Black Knight and the Killer Rabbit are pretty much the most famous from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, my favorite would have to be the Dennis, the old woman, sorry. I have that one. I memorized that one pretty much first of all of them, and I recite it all the time. Whenever I tell anybody to be quiet, I'm be quiet. I order you to be quiet. And then we have Life of Brian, which, if I had to pick a skit, I'm not too into it again, but if I had to pick one, probably the one where he is tagging the big Roman building, and he's using improper, I guess it would be grammar. I'm not sure if that term would apply, because obviously I'm not too educated on ancient Roman, but basically a Roman guard comes up and critiques him on his ability to use the language, and tells him to write it out 1,000 times, and he tags the entire building up and down 1,000 times with it. And in Meaning of Life, my favorite one would, well, there are a bunch of really good scenes in it. I really like The Miracle of Birth Part 1, where the father is not allowed into the room while his wife is giving birth, but like the Taurus and everybody is in there, and the machine that goes ping. The death scene is fine. I kind of like that one. The Mr. Creosote scene is a classic. And yeah, I guess I would pick those 3. Overall, pick these 3 movies up. They're really cheap on Amazon. I'm pretty sure you can even get a bundle. I'm not even sure, but check these movies out. They're fantastic. They're fantastic comedy. They'll have your sides splitting open, and you'll have a great time with these movies. I highly, highly, highly recommend them. And don't worry, negative reviews are on the way, so don't fret. Goodbye.